Yeah, it's working now.
It is working. Okay, this may be a one for the record books because I'm a little giddy or something with sleep deprivation maybe, and I I have been yawning a lot, and we're starting a little late, and we're starting a day later than normal, but.
Yeah.
The show must go on, so to speak.
Yeah. So it's Thursday instead of Wednesday.
It is.
For one.
It is.
Anyways, how was your last week?
My last week has been a
Do you remember your last week?
I have had a crazy week. So, let's see. So did we record early last week?
I think we did.
I don't remember, but I do remember that. So my older boy had a band concert on Thursday night, and so that was Thursday night. My younger boy graduated from 8th grade, and they had the big graduation ceremony on Friday night. And I was spending a couple nights last week, trying to finish up the slideshow for the graduation. And,
That's right.
gotten a few last minute photos and was having to spend a bunch of time with that. And it was, I have this sometimes hate relationship with Apple software where it's so absolutely unconfigurable that it was driving me just insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I could point out a few bugs with their slideshow in photos, like totally reproducible, crashes, switch a couple of things around, and it silently adds text blocks after I've deleted them over and over and over again. And so every time you you export it, you have to make sure to go back and remember to delete it again, because if you don't delete it like right before you export it, it'll go add another one. And I had several exports where I was like, "Wait, why is that text block back in front of there?" And that was crazy. And then my younger son got his second shot on Saturday morning, which was awesome. But he was pretty sick Saturday night / middle of the night, Sunday morning. I heard the door open and somebody stumble out, and I go out, and he was kind of delirious almost, and
Right.
and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm cold. I'm going to go sit down in front of the heater." I'm like, "I think maybe we'll get you an extra couple blankets and some Tylenol and take your temperature and put you back to bed." And he totally kind of had the chills, and so. Yeah, but by Sunday morning he was fine, which was good because he was going on a trip on Monday. So their 8th grade class is all on a trip, basically an extended field trip, and which again has been preps for the last couple of weeks, where we've been trying to stay isolated.
Right.
They had a negative COVID test. All the kids had to have a negative COVID test within 3 days of departure. So last week, most of them have already vaccinated, but even if they've got their first or second shot, they haven't had the second shot in 2 weeks, which is when you're technically fully vaccinated. But anyway, it's been a whirlwind. So my wife and son, my younger boy, are off on the trip right now. So they've been gone all week and having a great time, sending photos. And
good.
We have a group parental chat with all the parents in the class. There's not a ton of kids, but there's a lot of people on the chat, and so it's fun. That's cool. But that means I've been kind of playing, take my other son to school, pick him up, work. Obviously, it's been a pretty crazy work week too, and then all the animals and farm stuff, and I'm tired. I'm really tired. I think Saturday morning I may sleep until
Sunday.
Sunday? Yeah,
Monday?
that might play. No, I don't know. I say that and I think that, but I'm always like, oh, but I want to do X and I want to do Y and I want to do Z.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's been crazy.
I'm the same.
How are you?
I don't have a farm, but
Yeah,
it's been crazy.
well, I wasn't. I wasn't called to another duty this week.
Yeah, I had jury duty, or got called in for jury duty, and I've been called in 7, 8, 9 times over the years, and never actually been sat on a jury. I've been gone in and been kicked out by the lawyers, challenged off, I guess is the official word. For whatever reason, the lawyers decided they didn't like my answers to their questions. And what else? So I was sat on a jury, but then as soon as before we actually got to any trial, the case was settled, so we didn't have to do that. But this time, the case actually went through and ended up taking 2 days. I got there at 7:15 in the morning, and I was done at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, which was earlier than expected, according to the judge. Went back the next morning. Fortunately, we didn't start till 9 a.m. the next morning, so I didn't have to be there till 8:40 the next morning. And then we got into deliberation and spent 9:30 to almost 3 o'clock in deliberation.
Wow.
And
wow.
That's
a long time.
It was interesting. It was a criminal case, theft, which was not disputed even by the defense at trial. Was like, it was going to be hard to dispute 30 minutes of video evidence of somebody walking around a store, putting stuff in backpack, and then walking out this, 3 backpacks, an overcoat over the backpacks, and 2 bags, duffel bag and a shopping bag, and you walk out the front door. Yeah, that's hard to claim you didn't you didn't steal. But then the other bit was a separate 3 separate charges for robbery, which included threatening someone with a weapon. So the jury discussion part was, and I can talk about it now because it's all over and now a matter of public record, I suppose. The jury deliberation was, did he threaten 3 people or just 1 person? The other 2 were bystanders. So it was one of that was the discussion in the jury room. Was not everybody agreed a threat was even made in the first place. Other people agreed that if 1 threat was made, then it was for everybody, not just 1 person. Anyways, doesn't matter. But it was interesting. As much as I did not look forward to jury duty, and I don't think anybody looks forward to jury duty, and the judge even joked about, I know this is your favorite thing to be doing right now, but thank you for your, it was interesting to see the process, end-to-end deliberation, the rules from the judge, having to send the judge a question, having the judge return and not answer your question and say, you need to use your common sense and apply the term reasonable doubt. And that was all, So it was interesting. But I don't have to do it now for 2 years. And I have a little card that says, you're done for 2 years.
Huh.
So,
well, knock on my Formica desk. But I've never once been called for jury duty, not even to show up, let alone not be selected. So
my wife has only been selected once in our entire marriage, which is, I won't give a number, but it's a non-trivial amount of time.
Well, like I said, I'm knock on wood that I don't.
Yeah,
it's all good. So, and this would have been a particularly rough week to try and do something like that.
Yeah,
I would have had to plead. I don't know. Can't function. How?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, the other exciting thing is my boy also got his second vaccine shot, so the whole family's vaccinated. So we're good to go. It's the last week of school. High school graduation is this Sunday. So my middle daughter will actually get to have a graduation. It looks like it's going to rain on Sunday, and it's going to be outdoors. So this will be interesting.
It's probably in the same football stadium that the
where the band is playing. Yep.
Okay.
And then my boy and I this last weekend also started I think I mentioned it before, an underdeck. So putting some stuff underneath my deck so I can have outdoor dry space underneath my deck when it's raining. So slowly but surely, I'm working my way through the to-do list.
That's awesome. No barbecue usage this past weekend?
No, and probably maybe on Saturday. I have offered, but Grandma and Grandpa are in town, and daughter number 2 is in charge of activities.
Choice?
We're doing Benihana tomorrow night. So,
okay.
That's one of the things she wanted to do. So we're doing Benihana tomorrow night, and I don't know. I offered Saturday to do some grilling. We'll see.
Okay.
So, anyways.
Okay. Got a nice grill. Unfortunately, as with most grills, it'll sit unused most days.
Yep.
Yeah.
I need to use it more, though, so I can get better acquainted with temperature regulation.
Yeah.
But it'll come.
Fine control of the air valve.
Yes. Yes. I'm getting better. The last 2 times, I can see that I'm getting better. Each time I use it, I get better. So I'm going to keep going with that.
All right. Well, yeah. First derivative. Make sure your first derivative is positive. All right.
It is.
That's cool. Okay. Well, I didn't put anything in follow-up. I'm not even sure I looked if there was any follow-up. Did you?
There was a couple of things in follow-up. No, one thing in follow-up. But I don't know if we need to even bother with it.
Oh, I see it. Well, I'll say it here. So the one piece of follow-up that came out this week was that remember the Colonial Pipeline from a couple of weeks ago? Mm-hmm. They paid the cryptocurrency to the attackers, and then wound up not even using the tool provided because it was slower than just recovering from their backups. But it turns out that so the FBI tracked and recovered most of the money paid. So that was
that's a nice segue into one of my articles for this week.
Oh, okay. Deb, take it away. Which one was that?
Well, actually, it's a segue into both of my articles this week.
So were we back on a cryptocurrency kick?
Related to cryptocurrency, an antivirus company decided that one of the features they were going to add to their antivirus suite is a crypto miner. So Norton 360 apparently also has a wallet, a crypto wallet, and now they're going to allow people to mine cryptocurrency with their antivirus software, right? And the claim is, well, people had to disable their antivirus software to be able to run miners before, so why don't we just stick one in the miner? And I don't know if I can keep a straight face and say anything else about this.
I don't know either. I'm sorry.
So moving on.
I think the funny thing is one of the major things, not major, but one of the things that we detect, most AV would detect, or let's say threat detection products, are crypto miners, because in general, that's one of the things that malware will do in various situations. In fact, I think we talked about one a couple of weeks ago that was the Docker or Kubernetes crypto miner. And, lots, farming some of the sort of non-prime tokens like Monero.
Right.
I don't think I could do this. I guess on another side, I do know people that have run miners in their house, that actually bought the dedicated miners for mining Bitcoin. Yeah. I'm this is really surprising to me. Really surprising to me.
Well, and so then the second article to go along with the cryptocurrency and the FBI recovering cryptocurrency, a segue, the FBI, I don't know if you saw this article, it's in Vice. The FBI created a company to do encrypted chats, encrypted phone, encrypted messaging for criminals. So because criminals were going and getting encrypted phones from different types of companies and using them, and it was essentially hindering the FBI's ability to, find out what the bad guys were doing. So somebody in the FBI at some point said, you know what we should do? We should build our own encrypted phone software and sell it on the underground market. And since we'll be the owners of it, we'll have all the keys, we can decrypt all the messages. But they had, anyways, it's a very long article. I think it's very well written. It's very interesting how they actually had to go through the legal process of making sure that they were only selling phones that the phones didn't get, and the software didn't get released out into the general public and become popular enough among the general public, because then they would get themselves into other kinds of trouble. And this whole process of figuring out how to sell it to the underground, run a company, they had to have tech support, they had to do all that stuff. And they've been running it for a while, and it's now come out that they've now used it because they've busted hundreds of people with this now by basically running their fake encrypted phone company. And at the end, and now they've come to, and it wasn't just obviously the US centric, because once you put this kind of thing out on the market, it becomes global. So they ran a global company, an encrypted phone company. And in the end, the FBI basically said, we just wanted to shatter the trust in the encrypted phone industry that cater to criminals. So, whether that means they go back to handwritten notes, walking in the park and covering their mouths so no one can read their lips, or whatever, they were just wanted to seed doubt in the criminal underground as to the ability to use encrypted phones, or the belief they're using encrypted phones to be safe. So,
wow,
interesting article. It's very long.
I saw some chatter on Twitter about this, but I didn't actually read this article. This is very long
and good. I mean, it's a well done, well written article. So I'd encourage you to go. Anyone out there with just, if this piqued your interest, go read about an encryption honeypot that the FBI basically created a whole company with tech support and product support and underground marketing.
Wow.
And that balancing act of keeping it only for criminal, advertising it on criminal underground, but not letting the public know. And how do you let other governments know without having this leak, and it's, have it go for so long and be able to prosecute so many people globally without it leaking until now, or being discovered and have to shut down until now. Anyways, there you go. Those are my two topics for this week.
Wow. Yeah, I'm still scrolling through that article. I'll have to read the whole thing.
All right.
Okay. I have I have one. I guess this is more availability than it is security. But did you notice on Tuesday that there was a major internet outage?
I'd have to remember where I was Tuesday.
Okay. Actually,
I was in jury duty.
you might not have even had your phone available.
No, my phone was off.
You're like on
most
one of those
Tuesday.
one of those offline
Yeah.
situations. So
I was completely unaffected by this, therefore it didn't really happen.
if an outage happens and you're not on your phone, did it really happen? So it was a company called Fastly, and they do basically.
They're like a Cloudflare, Akamai kind of thing.
Yeah, CDN. Listen, well, I think that's what they'd be considered, CDN.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they cache a lot of content for many, top tier sites, including the New York Times, the Guardian, Twitch, Reddit, and the British government's homepage. At least so says this NPR article. But I think the main link that I'll put in the show notes here is to Fastly's summary, which they just published yesterday or today about what happened. And this is frustrating because they didn't actually say specifically what happened. Just that, quote, we experienced a global outage due to an undiscovered software bug that surfaced on June 8th when it was triggered by a valid customer configuration change. So one of their customers, one of the Fastly customers, posted an update to their account and took down the internet. So
nice.
Duct
tape and baling wire.
All the way down. All the way down. So the crazy thing, well, I guess maybe not, but it says, we detected the disruption within 1 minute, identified and isolated the cause, and disabled the configuration. Within 49 minutes, 95% of our network was operating as normal. So that was a quote from the Fastly article.
Right.
Or blog post. So that's pretty good, detection within a minute. Mm-hmm. And I'm just picturing the scramble in their Gawk or Knock or whatever they've got for, oh crap, what's going on? Because it said...
I see a room with just tons of TV monitors, and they just kind of start to flicker red from left to right.
Right? Yes. I
got the Hollywood vision going on.
That's right. So it says on May 12th, so a month ago, they deployed an update that introduced a bug that could be triggered. And this says could be triggered by a specific customer configuration under specific circumstances. And that's the amount of detail you get. It was a bug. It was quote unquote hard to get to. I don't know, specific customer configuration under specific circumstances. But it said early June 8th, a customer pushed a valid configuration change that included the specific circumstances that triggered the bug, which caused 85% of our network to return errors.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're serving many of the world's top sites, that's a lot. So,
yep.
But they did have, so their timeline of events on this was, within 1 minute, they detected the outage. They published a status post 11 minutes later, identified it. So it took them from 9:47 to 10:27. So what was that? 13 plus. So basically it took them 40 minutes to diagnose and discover. Mm-hmm. Or it says identified the customer configuration, and then within 9 minutes they have impacted services beginning to recover, and then by 11 o'clock, which would have been an hour and 13 minutes later, the majority of services were recovered. So,
right.
I mean, pretty fast move, but, you know, you're, I imagine they have a lot of SLAs, and an hour downtime is going to hit your nines pretty hard.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know what their, guarantees or contingencies are. You know, they didn't really say too terribly much other, in this, you know, they did take responsibility though. That's the thing that is, you know, most important to me on these sorts of things is, you know, run it. They also said, so there's two other things in here that I like that I was going to pull out. One of which is, we have been and will continue to innovate and invest in fundamental changes to the safety of our underlying platforms. Broadly, this means fully leveraging the isolation capabilities of WebAssembly and compute at edge. I want to learn more about the WebAssembly at edge. To build greater resiliency from the ground up. We'll continue to update our community as we make progress. And then for their conclusion, it says, even though there were specific conditions that triggered this outage, we should have anticipated it. We provide mission-critical services, and we treat any action that can cause service issues with the utmost sensitivity and priority. We apologize to our customers and those who rely on them for the outage, and sincerely thank the community for its support. So, you know,
there you go.
It was an event. It was an event, but Fastly did a good job in their response. All right, my second article. Okay, all right. I had to choose this because it had a logo. I'm not entirely certain that I have been able to understand it yet. So
okay,
I'm sorry, everybody, but it has a logo. And
it's got a cool logo.
It's a logo. Okay, so this is Alpaca Attack. And it literally is alpaca-attack.com. A link will be in the show notes. But I think this is a semi-acronym, an acronym with a little bit of license taken, because they're calling it an application layer protocol content confusion attack. So that doesn't quite spell alpaca, but it's pretty close.
But more importantly, why does the alpaca have a scarf?
Because it's protocol
just
attack?
For style?
I don't know.
I don't.
I wonder if the scarf is made of alpaca wool?
So am I looking at a naked alpaca who shaved himself and created a scarf?
Boy, I'll tell you, we
it's
drive by a couple of alpacas. Sorry, so now you've got me talking animals here. There's some alpacas nearby. Two people who have alpacas nearby, and when they shave them, oh my gosh, they look crazy. They look so funny, and they look so miserable. I'm sorry. There's something funny about a shaved alpaca. Okay.
Something funny about a shaved alpaca.
Okay. Well, that might be your title right there. I don't know.
I guarantee you that's the title right there.
Okay. We're a little, like I said at the start, I'm a little sleep deprived, so bear with me here because I'm trying to understand this attack and I don't quite understand it yet. So, okay, a cross protocol attack. What I've got from this so far is the fact that I had to actually click in and look at the actual paper to start understanding it because frankly I didn't think their image on the outside was super useful. But the point is that TLS is an application layer independent protocol, which means that if you have two different protocols and that for which the certificates are compatible, aka you have a wildcard cert on a HTTP server and on a SFTP server, you can, with a man in the middle, basically redirect the packets from going to server 1. So like instead of going to the HTTP server on port 443, you can send it to an SFTP server on something else, where the client will successfully complete a TLS handshake with the wrong protocoled server, and then basically will be attempting to send the wrong protocol to a server that is not expecting it. And depending on the two protocols in play, there can be some side channel leakage. So that's what I understand. So that, like, I think that's what I get so far. So for example, they have an example here. I thought they had an example. I guess my HTTP and SFTP example is probably a good one. But they played with a whole bunch of different protocols to try to basically measure what might be vulnerable to what. But the three things that they said have to be present to be able to take advantage of this kind of attack, which is called a cross-protocol attack, by the way, is, first of all, there has to be TLS compatibility. So the client and the substitute application server have to be able to complete the TLS handshake, so that the client accepts the certificate of that substitute server, and then we'll begin to try, attempt to send the protocol inside the TLS packet. So
right.
Maybe that sounds obvious, and it is, I guess. But the first prereq is that you have to be able to successfully complete the TLS session initiation. So the second thing is that you have to have they're saying that you have to have tolerance to protocol embedding, is what they say. So the substitute server should tolerate a certain amount of invalid traffic that comes from the original protocol, in which and I'm going to read this paragraph because this is where I'm trying to have an example in my head. Let's see. The substitute server should tolerate a certain amount of invalid traffic that comes from protocol A, in which the payload for the substitute server in format B is embedded. Likewise, if the client is expected to process any response by the substitute server, it should tolerate a certain amount of invalid traffic that comes from protocol B, in which the payload for C in format A is embedded. So, basically, it has to, they have to be compatible enough protocols that you sort of trigger the server to do something that it might do. So, for example, maybe write something to a log file, unexpected info received, or something like that, right? Because the third thing that's required is that it says application server exploitability. So the substitute server must provide some feature, mechanism, or behavior supporting the attack. The details are protocol and implementation specific, but generally the exploited behavior will be unexpected by C and differ considerably from the behavior of the intended server, resulting in some form of security violation. So, for example, if you can, I think an example would be if you are able to initiate the session and then you attempt to, get a HTTP page from something or post something to, a server. You think you're posting to a HTTP server, but instead you're posting to a FTP server. The FTP server might write a log file that says, invalid data received, and print out some of the data that was received, in which case, if there's a vulnerability, you can go get to it, that kind of thing.
Right.
So, I don't know. I haven't quite fully grokked this. But it had a logo, so I had to do it. So I don't know what to tell you. It has a logo.
Hey, I'm with you.
And I like the notion of, this is very tricky, like cross protocols. That's very cool. When was this? It was 6/9. So I guess this came out yesterday.
There you go.
So there's some general info, not on the technical paper, but out on the site that says, is the attack practical? So most attacks require an active man in the middle, which means some way for an attacker to intercept and modify the data. It's difficult on the internet, but plausible in a local network. In particular, if you're still using Internet Explorer, we recommend you update to the latest version from June 8th, 2021. So the day before this was published. So I'm assuming that was one of the things they were waiting to disclose on. Where's the table that has all the different vulnerabilities? Maybe that was back in the paper or the Twitter thread. But they had data about all the different vulnerable servers, and there were a lot. There were a very lot. Hold on, I'm going to look for it again here. So they checked 1.4 million web servers that could be confused with an FTP or email server because they use the same host name or use multi-domain or wildcard certificates. So 1.4 million. Let's see. An exploitable FTP or email server allows a man-in-the-middle attacker to exfiltrate an authentication cookie or launch a stored or reflected cross-site scripting attack on the website. Based on our lab analysis, we found 114,000 web servers are likely affected by these exploitable servers. So that's kind of interesting. And then, let's see. I guess one of the final things I guess I'll say about this is it says, luckily all Alpaca attacks, Alpaca Attack, can be prevented by implementing strict verification of the ALPN and SNI extensions that make TLS connections secure against protocol and or host name confusion. So yeah, anyway, Alrighty. There you go. That was a fun one. Hey, they've got a website, got a logo. They're official. So enjoy.
I will. Are you ready for my funness?
Okay. Yep. Hit me up. Give me something fun.
So my first something fun, because I have two.
Okay.
I stumbled across a picture, and I was more fascinated with the picture than anything. But then I read the article, and it's a academic article, so it's not just a short little news blurb, but it's all about the title is Urban Spatial Order, Street Network Orientation, Configuration, and Entropy. And it's this whole article about how street networks were planned, the organizing principles, did they evolve organically, is the street in a grid? How does it order? Is it north-south, east-west? Is it offset slightly? And then there's this picture that this article did studies about the network orientation, configuration, and entropy in 100 cities around the world and measured how did those cities' streets orient themselves. And as you might expect, U.S. and Canadian cities are far more grid-like than European cities. European cities grew much more organically and for longer periods of time.
So this is if it looks like a cross, just pure north-south and pure east-west, that means all the streets line up in the north-south and the east-west direction.
Right, the majority of them. And so the picture, and I'll see if I can just add the picture to the chapter art for the podcast. But it's just fascinating to see how the cities orient themselves. So it's not purely north-south. For example, Manhattan, New York, is very much a cross, but it's not. The streets are not oriented northwest. They're oriented along the slight angle of the island itself.
The island, yeah.
And similar other cities. So it was just fascinating to just kind of see the confusion that occurs as the study goes. And the picture fascinated me, which then led me to read the article, which
Okay.
was just
Yeah,
in general
I can
interesting.
see why.
So
what is this about Detroit? So Detroit has normal streets with then just like a whole other set of other streets that are at like
yes,
30-degree angle.
yes, exactly. Yeah, is that over time, and then you get down to what the funny one is though. Charlotte, North Carolina, is just a big blob circle.
One of these things is not like the others.
Exactly. Anyways, so
If you're, how is Charlotte more like I don't know, we want
chaotic.
What chaotic. There you go. How is Charlotte more chaotic than Rome?
I don't know.
Come on, explain it to me. I must know. Okay. All right.
Because the founders of Charlotte were all drunk. No, sorry. I'm getting a little punchy myself. Right. It's late.
So was the article was worth reading, huh?
I thought it was fascinating, and there's more than just the cities. And they go through the whole process and the math that they have behind how they calculated whether a street was north-south, and how it was like measured distance and how many offshoots and turns, and how it was. I'll just say the picture caused me to read the article, and I was interested. So my moving on.
Okay, that's cool.
My second one was something that also the picture fascinated me. So I will throw the picture in the chapter art for this one as well. It's birds, and there's a picture of a crow who's got its wings all kind of bent out and from a distance, and maybe you probably won't be able to see this on the chapter art if you're looking at a podcast player does chapter art, but there are tons of tiny black ants running around on the crow on its wings. And, this photographer had never seen that before and posted it on social media, and some birders were saying it's this process called anting. This is insane that you were able to catch this picture. No one really has ever captured it in pictures and photos like you have. And they don't know why birds do this, but basically birds get on the ground and they let ants crawl up all over them on the feathers and the skin to do what ants do, I guess. I thought, well,
is this like what do you call the birds on rhinoceroses that are like
off,
other insects or something
along those lines. But one of the theories is that as the ants are crawling around, they'll start picking them with the beaks. I'm thinking birds like ants. I'm sure they'll eat them. But they picked them up with the beaks and then rubbed themselves with the ant. So they'll pick up the ant in their beak and then rub themselves. Or they'll get the ant, while they're doing that, the ant will then sense a threat and shoot a spray of formic acid onto the bird, and maybe it acts as a natural insecticide. But no one's done a definitive study of anting yet, apparently. And so nobody really knows, and that capturing a picture of a bird in the throes of anting is extremely rare. And these pictures are slightly creepy. But the picture was intriguing, and I read the article based on the picture.
Okay.
Okay. There you go. That's my fun for this week.
All right. Anting. The throes of anting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, I also have two things. So my first thing is a Twitter thread. And if there's an article for it, I haven't seen it. But this is it's like a 8-tweet thread from almost a year ago, actually. So July 10th, 2020. But I like Lord of the Rings. This is kind of a Lord of the Rings tie-in. So this is a picture. The first picture on the Twitter thread is a stranger than fiction Roman ring mystery thread. This enigmatic Roman gold ring was found in a plowed field near Silchester in 1785. The square bezel has a portrait of the pagan goddess Venus inscribed backwards, Sunev, as a signet ring. So when they punch it into wax, it'll then say Venus, right?
Right.
Curiously, around the 10-sided die is crudely inscribed, 10-sided ring is crudely inscribed. I think a 10-sided die. Those 10-sided goes with the word die. I in my head, I have a Markov chain. So around the 10-sided ring is crudely inscribed the letter of a later Christian owner, Senicianus, who proclaims with spelling errors, lives in God, vivus in Dio. A ring passing from pagan to Christian hands, certainly possible in the 4th century, but they found at a temple to the mysterious British god Nodens, 80 miles away from where the ring was found in, oh gosh, I can't pronounce these kind of English names. A complete plebe like myself will say Gloucestershire. Not
going to touch it.
Gloucestershire. Anyway, it has a lot of vowels. There's a lead curse tablet that was later discovered. And on the tablet, a man named Silvianus complains that his gold ring was stolen, and he suspects Senicianus was the culprit. So there's this curse tablet that says curse Senicianus. So it says Silvianus deposited the curse tablet and donated it at the temple, half the value of his lost ring, in the hope that the gods would permit no good health to Senicianus. What's the odds that we find these two historical artifacts? But what's kind of the connection? So it says in 1929, the archaeologist Mortimer Wheeler made a connection between the curse and the gold ring. And then Wheeler consulted a certain young professor of Anglo-Saxon at Oxford University named J.R.R. Tolkien to work on the etymology of the curious deity Nodens and explore the possible connections with the enigmatic Roman gold ring. Isn't that cool?
There's the one ring to rule them all.
Potentially, it's Silvianus's stolen ring.
Huh.
So, I don't know.
That's cool.
I thought that was cool. It was, there's not.
That's fun.
It's not a big story. But evidently, there was I thought there was a follow-up that said that the ring was in. Oh, sorry. I have to hit show the rest of the thread. It says the Silvianus ring is displayed at the Vine NT Hampshire, and the tablet is displayed at Lydney Park Estate, Gloucestershire. Our British friends or our UK friends will hate on me for my inability to pronounce anything. Okay. Anyway, so that's my first fun thing.
All right.
My second
Definitely
fun thing is, this is not so much fun, really, probably. But I was like, oh, that is something I read this week that I would like other people to read, which is a ProPublica or ProPublica.org report on, evidently somebody leaked a whole bunch of tax records for billionaires to ProPublica, and they decided that it was worth publishing specifically so they could document how and why many of the richest people in our nation, at least, don't pay any taxes or don't pay much in the way of taxes. So this is a very long article. There's a lot of data and details in this article, but it is so worth reading, and it's kind of infuriating, frankly. But
yeah,
I actually don't want to go read this article. We'll have the link in the show notes. Search ProPublica billionaire. It'll probably come up. It's the number one thing.
Right.
I'll read one quote in here. So, which is in 2011. A year in which his wealth held roughly steady at $18 billion, Bezos filed a tax return reporting he lost money. His income that year was more than offset by investment losses, What's more, because according to the tax law he made so little, he even claimed and received a $4,000 tax credit for his children. So it goes on at the end of the article. It explains how, since we, in the US at least, only tax, like for capital gains, they only come out when you actually sell stock. Most of the one of the primary ways that this is evaded is they just don't sell stock. They take loans out, backed by the stock, but that's not actually a taxable event. But you can pay pennies on the dollar for interest on that, and then they can offset that interest by minor sales or minor income from other things, or just other quote unquote losses. So it's a great article, well researched. They explain their rationale for how they feel the public knowledge and is worth the potential quote unquote privacy breach.
Yeah.
But I would encourage anyone to go and read this. But
yeah, just to understand how things work.
So anyway, it's really not fun. So the first one was kind of fun. Like,
first one
anything
was fun.
Tolkien related, fun. This is not really fun, but it's so worth reading.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Alrighty.
All right, Eric.
It's time to go to sleep.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go to sleep. All right.
All right, dude. Have a good night.
Have a good rest of your week.
I'll talk to you
you later.
Bye.
Bye.